Welcome back. Now, we've already spoken about the increased risk of an Islamist terror attack in this country, and I'm going to talk about the man who says that police saved him from certain death at the hands of pro-Palestine protesters who threatened to behead him. This is, by the way, in London, yeah. That was on Saturday. Vahid Beheshti was chased in central London because he was holding an Israeli flag. He was protesting outside the Foreign Office in opposition to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Viewers on GB News will now be able to see that a number of police officers intervened to protect Vahid and other activists. I'm delighted to say that he has indeed managed to keep his head, and he's joined me now in the studio. So, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Great to have you on the show. So, how scared were you when that was taking place? You know, on the streets of Britain, to see people willing to essentially behead somebody for having different political views?
It's unbelievable that, we are witnessing such a things in middle of London in 21st century. But I thought it's my last day, definitely, with the knowledge that I have from the nature of these, I would say, groups, because I don't call them Palestinians protesters. These are terrorists who they come with a knife in their pocket because I had an Israeli flag on my camp. I have been camping there for 8 months in order to put IRGC in the terrorist list. But these guys, they cannot tolerate. We cannot tolerate them, with this kind of act in middle of London.
And to clarify, you are not Jewish, right?
No,
so
I'm not.
Not Jewish.
I'm not Jewish.
I don't know what they must have thought, but the idea now that somebody who, say, is Jewish, who wants to wave the Israeli flag in London, the implication is that their life might be at risk now.
Basically, let me put it this way. From 24 hours before this event and the continuous day after this event by the police, of course, I'm alive now talking to you because of the great work of our police forces. But now, instead of they controlling them, they keep asking me to bring the Israeli flag down from my camp. And now, imagine if the Jewish person going out to the street with the Israeli flag. So these people, they are going to force their idea to us with violence. We cannot tolerate that here in London.
Do you think that's symptomatic of the way that the United Kingdom as a whole, Britain as a whole, is being asked to deal with the threat of radical Islamist terrorism, which is that we alter our lives and our way of life, and we have to remain vigilant and we have to be sympathetic, as opposed to eradicating that problem?
We have to stay strong and firm. We have no choice in this country. We have been warning our leaders, our politicians, me and my wife and my other human rights activists for past 18 years about the radicalization in this country, in mosques, in Islamic centers, and the places that they are talking in their own language and they brainwash our youth. But I think we weren't aware enough of what was going to be happen in here in this crucial moment. But I am going to tell something else. It's going to get worse because as Israel entered Gaza, Iranians, they said they're going to involve themselves. They're going to activate their sleeping agents here, which they've been working on them for years. And we were too soft about it.
So elaborate on that then. One of the concerns that a lot of people have is that what's going on in Israel at the moment and in the wider region of the Middle East there will have a real-world impact on the streets of Britain. People in Brussels have just seen an individual driving around shooting people. People in France have seen it. There were bomb threats at French airports today. I believe that 2 synagogues in Berlin were firebombed. We've had red paint thrown over Jewish schools in this country. You seem pretty convinced that there's a good chance we're going to see an increased terror threat on the streets of Britain as a result of what's going on.
Definitely. We are in war. There is no doubt about it. This is war against terrorism. This is not Israel war. This is our war. We are not defending Israel. We are defending ourselves in our soil here. And Iranian government, by activating their agents in whole Europe, they are going to put pressure on us to pull out from Israel and stop what Israel is going through, which there is no other choice.
Well, what if Israel didn't do a ground invasion? What if Israel said, right, we're drawing a line under this now? Would that make everybody else safer?
It's not going to make us safest. It's going to put us in a very worse situation. Definitely. Israel, my opinion, should go all the way. We have to get rid of Hamas, Hezbollah, Jihad Islami, and the head of octopus. These are what I counted are the legs and the hands of octopus. The head of octopus, IRGC, Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
War with Iran.
It's going to happen. This is going to happen.
That's World War III.
The foreign minister of Iran 2 days ago, he stated, if Israel entered to Gaza, we're not going to sit down and watch. He goes and finish Hamas and then come after Hezbollah. That means we are going to get involved there. So, but there is a shortcut, I always said. As soon as Iranian government involve themselves directly in this war, we have 80 million Iranians which they're going to raise inside the country against this regime. And they are the one who are going to finish the job.
What should we do now, in your view, as a country? What should Rishi Sunak do? What should our British population be doing now?
The first step, Mr. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak should place IRGC, Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the godfather of Hamas, Hezbollah, Jihad Islami, and other terrorist groups, on the terrorist list.
What difference would that make? What difference would that make to my life here, to people watching, in Burnley or Blackburn or Rochdale or wherever? How does that affect their lives?
So that sends a strong message to Iranian government that they sponsor all these terrorist groups. First, we have to put them on the terrorist list, which we had to do it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when we proscribe Hamas, when we proscribe Hezbollah, because legally we have to do that.
Presumably that means then that we're more able, in theory, to deport people who support.
It's going to make it really easy for us to close down this affiliation that they have connection with IRGC. We're going to put proper limitation on the financial sector outside of Iran, because that is very important for them, for their terrorist operation outside of Iran. So they are proscribing IRGC is going to put us in the very, very better place. But on the other way, we have to stand strong next to Israel, shoulder by shoulder, to clean the Middle East. We have no choice. It's like a cancer. We are going through this surgery. It's going to be painful, but we have to go through it. It
also means that we are going to have a lot of genuine civilians who live in that part of the world who will be affected and displaced as a result of it. And so what happens there? Because I think we all know what happens there, which is that then Europe and Britain takes a lot of those people. Do you think that's our duty?
It's not about taking those people. If we act by wisdom, that's very important. That's what Israel is doing now. Because why they didn't enter into Gaza? 500 kilometers tunnel we have under the hospital, under the schools, under the people's house, full of explosion. So they were waiting for Israel troops to enter to Gaza. So they do it wisely. So if we take the steps, a step by step, by wisdom, we can control that issue as well.
Just to clarify then, you are pretty adamant that we are on the brink of an absolutely massive war in the Middle East. We are in it. Right.
We are in it.
Okay. And that is going to have consequences on the streets of Britain. You think that there are people who will use that as a catalyst to...
It's not just here. The whole Europe is going to affect whole Europe. Because they've been working on it for years now. For years. They're getting themselves ready for these days. So at least we have to wake up now and stand strong.
Okay. Just a final one with you personally. There's a kind of a bounty on your head, right? So how are you doing? For past 8 months, I'm camping in front of Foreign Office in King Charles Street. Yeah. I live in the street. First 72 days, I was on hunger strike. I lost around 20 kilograms, 2 weeks in the hospital. Then I came back because I know what I'm fighting for. I know their true natures. I know what happened exactly last night with the situation of the hospital. I know exactly because I witnessed the same situation 3 years ago when the IRGC shut down the
Ukrainian passenger airplane PS-752 and killed 176 people with 2 missiles, and for 3 days they looked into camera and lied to the whole world, and after 3 days, after all evidence, they said, we done it.
All right, look, thank you very, very much for coming in, and obviously stay safe.